Since this morning, I've been yawning. Situations got me falling down. What should I do? The day's full of questions. There's no answers or suggestions. So, who do I turn to? You can call on Jennie B. You can say just what you mean. It's so nice. It's so nice. You can call on Jennie B. You can talk about anything in this life. The fabric of life. You can call on Jennie B. You can say just what you mean. It's so nice. It's so nice. You can call on Jennie B. You can talk about anything in this life. The fabric of life. What's the latest on the caucus? Who's running for top office and why? Tell me why. Raising taxes on the masses. Who is doing it the fastest? Who lied? Tell me who lied. There's so much on my mind. It just makes me want to vent sometimes. It's so much going on. I just hope you hear this song and you do what's right. It's just not about black and white, no, no, but it's about the human rights. Yes, it is. It's just not about you and me. Can it be? But it's about who we can call. Let's call Jennie B. Call on Jennie B. You can say just what you mean. It's so nice. Yeah. It's so nice. Yeah. You can call on Jennie B. You can talk about anything in this life. The fabric of life. You can call on Jennie B. I'ma call you can say just what you mean. It's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice. Yeah. Here I go. Call Jennie B. Here I go. Talk about Jennie B. In this life is the fabric of life. The fabric of life. The fabric of life.
Good evening, and good evening.
Good evening.
You have just tuned in to another episode of The Fabric of Life. I am your gracious host, Miss Jennie B, with my co-host, Miss Cameron K.
Hey.
She rapping today, y'all.
Yeah.
She in a whole nother vibe.
I'm the C, the A, the M, the A, the R, the Y, the N. What? My name is Cameron.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
And then she just talking about she plain. She ain't hardly plain. Okay.
I'm Sarah, plain and tall.
Not. All right. Exactly. Thank you. I got Mr. Boog on the ones and twos. Yes, exactly. That was the perfect sound effect. She talking about I'm silent. Girl, you ain't hardly silent. All right. So tonight we are starting off a new month, new topic. I want to say thank you to all of my guests during the month of March, which was Women's Month. Yeah. Each and every one of you are great women in your own right. And I appreciate you taking out the time to come and talk with us about your great accomplishments and the great things that you're doing in this city. We had several different topics. Racial injustice with my girl, Miss Ari Lane. Oh my God, y'all gotta go watch her do her poet thing. She just won in a finalist of the Motown Motor City. Yes. So she's down to the wire. Then last week I had my niece, the Deborah Lane Spencer. You know, another great woman that God has blessed me in my life. She has premiere movie coming out, Dear Future Husband, but you can catch her on Amazon Prime and a whole bunch of other places with a number of movies that she's in. And so I'm so thankful.
Yes,
and
she's
gracious.
One of Detroit's finest.
Yes. And so tonight our topic is strengths versus failures. So each week we're going to have subtopics to this topic. So just know that. So our subtopic tonight, do you need them both to be successful? And we're going to talk about that. Some people think you do. Some people think you don't. Strengths versus failures. Now, each and every week, you know, we start out with a quote. So the quote for tonight, starting out, says, sometimes you don't realize your own strength until you come face to face with your own weakness. And I'm going to say that again. Sometimes you don't realize your own strength until you come face to face with your own weakness. What do you think, Kim K?
Ooh.
We're going to be transparent. And on the Fabric Life, we're always open and transparent.
I know, girl, but you just want me to start being like Tina Turner and saying, there's something on my mind. Won't somebody please? Oh, wow.
That's one of my favorite movies, too.
Really do have to come to terms with your weaknesses in order for you to... You have to come to terms with your weaknesses in order for you to realize how strong you are. On a serious note, you do. Mm-hmm. And that is really deep because it's very, very, very uncomfortable. You know, it's easy to walk around with a cape and, you know, be Supergirl, Superwoman, super person, you know, Superman. But Superman. But it's more than a notion to have to take a look at the man in the mirror and be honest with the man in the mirror. Because so often we walk around like we're so strong because, you know, we have that mask on. We're pretending. We're just a culture of great pretenders. Mm-hmm. And when you have to, you know, dig deep and take a look in the mirror and say, you know, I need to reevaluate some things. I need to... At the end of every day, I try to always do a process with myself where I have that man in the mirror time. And I tell you, that's probably the hardest part of my day. Because sometimes you have to just really be like, I ain't handle that right. My thoughts wasn't right. Mm-hmm. So, I got to, you know, reevaluate some things because tomorrow's going to be a new day and I have to, you know, try to get it right. So that man in the mirror for me is just like, ooh, man.
So in regards to the quote, my thoughts for that is I totally agree with the quote. Sometimes situations in life causes us to face our own weaknesses. I'm a person that believes that nothing just happens by happenstance. Everything happens for a reason in the time that it's supposed to happen in the season that it's supposed to happen. However, we don't always get the details. God, to me, I believe he'll show us the beginning and the end, but he doesn't show us the middle. Because I think if he showed us the middle, a lot of us would say no. A lot of us would say, I don't want to do that because that don't look right good all up in there. And, you know, when it says you don't know your own strength until you face your own weakness, that reminds me of the scripture that says God will not put more on you than you can bear. And so sometimes I've asked myself, like, Lord, why did you think I could bear this?
You see, y'all got my little fan going on because we in church in here.
Okay.
God won't put more on you.
Why did you think I could do this or think I could handle this? And sometimes we're situations that causes us to look at our weaknesses will actually push you closer to your destiny. It pushes you closer to your purpose. I looked up the definition of success, and the dictionary said success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. So then it causes me to go back and think, okay, what's my aim? What's my purpose? Yeah. And it always makes me think about what's your motivation. When you say something, what's your motivation for saying that? When you
what is your why behind what you're saying? What is your intent? What is your point? Because a lot of times we have to really be careful about our intent behind our words. Because I can look at you and smile and be like, I love you. I just think you're wonderful. And that's not really how I feel. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you that because in that moment, I want to make you feel a certain type of way, but that's not really how I feel. And I think we have to really be careful of that. And like what you were saying about the thing in between, we know that in the end, God always tells us that we're going to have victory on the other side of situations and circumstances. But the other tricky part about that is it may not always look the way you think your victory is going to look like.
True.
It might not always be that pie in the sky or something that is just shiny and bright. It may be something totally different. But the bottom line is at the end of it, at the beginning of it and in the middle of it, God is always there.
I agree. My grandmother used to always say there's several ways to skin a cat. She from the South, y'all. So in my mind, it makes me think about there's different ways to the same destination. We may have a way that we may think should be right or a way that we may think we should go, but God may have a completely different way. And most often he generally does have a completely different way of a goal or a purpose or something that we're trying to get to. And sometimes we aimlessly do things. It's not even in God's plan for our life. And it's just like wasted time.
Yeah, but that's why we have to, with our finite selves, we have to
finite.
Yeah. With our finite selves, we have to just stay plugged into our source. And I think a lot of times we are some of our decisions. Whether they, we are going to make good decisions, we're going to make bad decisions, but we are some of our decisions. So God always gives us a way of escape. He always is there for us, but we have to realize that we are some of our decisions. And if we stay plugged into our source, that's why he says that if we stay with him, he can make the devil flee. But he can't make the devil flee if you're not staying plugged into your source. And sometimes I know I do. Yeah, I get my cape, and then I'll be like, I got it. I'm flying. And then I'll be like, who got me? Like in Superman, we be like, who got you? God has me all the time. But when I take unplug myself from the source, then that's when I mess up in my decision making. And that's when I mess up in my choices, because I'm not plugged into the source. And Jesus, this is not the Cameron show.
If you don't pay that DTE bill, you're not going to be plugged into the source.
Yeah, because you ain't going to have no electricity. You're going to be in a blackout.
A real blackout.
But that's
lighting candles.
Yeah, but the beautiful part about even when we're not plugged into our source, he's still
there.
He still got his hands on you.
So what's your definition of success? That was the Webster's dictionary. What's your definition of success? Tonight, y'all, we're talking about strength versus failures. Do you think you need them both to be successful, or just one, or is one more important than the other? If y'all want to call and join the discussion, give us your thoughts. Give us what you think about strength and failures. The call-in number is 248-854-9850. Somebody call in and talk to us.
And we are on Podtastic. The Jennie B Show.
Yes. So what's your definition of success?
Oh, wow. Oh, God. What did you say the Webster's dictionary said?
Webster said the accomplishment of an aim or purpose.
For me, at the point that I am in my life now, my definition of success is being at peace.
I like that.
Because success is all about perception. Success is different things to different people. Some people think that the golden apple is success. But I think that we often, sometimes we all set goals and we say what we want. And then once you get it, okay, what's the next thing? Once you get that, what's the next thing? And I think with success, we live in a world where we're insatiable. There really is no such word as success, because once you get a taste of success, you want more success. And it just seems like the world we live in, people just want more and more and more. So my definition of success is peace. Because when I wake up, if I'm at peace and my bills are taken care of and the things in my life are just settled, in just having that peace, the peace of God in my spirit, that's success to me, is having that relationship with God and being at peace.
I agree with you. To me, that peace brings balance. Once you have that peace, the Bible says, I will give you the peace that passes all understanding. So what is that understanding? And what you said it's a person's success is that person's reality.
Yeah, their perception.
And that perception. So for me, I'm going to throw a wrench in there. I think failure can be a success. And to me, I feel like failure can also be a success, because when you take the opportunity to step back, reflect, like you said earlier, and then assess the situation and then learn from the situation and allow yourself to grow from that failure, and not give up on yourself. When you are able to stand tall and become resilient, to me, that failure was a success because you didn't let the failure grip you with the fear of staying stuck.
But it's also about perception. I don't really think in life, now that I'm maturing, everyone, I don't really.
And she talking about she playing, y'all. No.
I really just don't look at things like I failed. I think for so many years, I beat myself up. I mean, if things didn't go exactly the way that I thought it should go, I'd be like, oh my God, I failed. But now when I look back on things that didn't go the way that I thought they should go, I realized that God was protecting and correcting me, and he was changing my point of view. Glory. And it just makes me I mean, we just had Resurrection Sunday, but it just makes me love him so much because he kept me. And so our failures to man and our failures to ourselves is not a failure to God, because there is no failure in
God.
him.
That's right. That's right. No failure in God. Y'all got that? There's no failure in God. I like what you just said when you said he changed my point of view. Now, this brings to remembrance in my mind the scriptures that says, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus.
Yes.
Right? So there's a choice. You have to choose to have a different thought process. You have to choose to have a different state of mind, because to me, everything begins and ends with the thought. It goes back to the perception that you talked about. And when we don't do that, that is what causes us to beat up on ourselves. That is what causes us, because I'm gonna tell myself, I've done the same thing too, and say, well, why didn't I do it this way, and why didn't I do it that way? And it's kind of like that shoulda, coulda, woulda, but you can't change it. It happened. That's the way it happened, and that's what was done. All you can do is move forward. If you don't want to move forward, then you're going to stay in that mental state. You're going to stay in that place of.
I had a pastor say, "Don't park there."
I like that.
Don't park there, which means when a situation or circumstances come, don't park there. You gotta. It's a time. It's a time for everything. That's why in the Bible we're getting a little biblical this week.
Yeah. I feel like today.
When David's child passed, he grieved for a time. He had dirt all over. He grieved and he was dirty and everything. And then one morning he was praying to the Lord while he was going through his grief. He was praying and he was, asking the Lord, why? And then for whatever reason, it never said that God gave him an answer, but he got the peace of God. And so when he got the peace of God,
and what'd he do, girl?
He woke up in the morning. He took a shower with that elephant blowing the water on.
And then what
they ain't had showers back then. But he took a shower, and when he got up, he washed himself, and he came out, and he had on new clothes, and people were looking at him like, "Why you have on new clothes? You're supposed to be grieving." And he was like, "That's over. Now it's time for me to live." Exactly. And that's why they have the saying, "Let the dead bury the dead," because God did not intend for us. Death is a part of life, but he does not want us to park there and stay in grief. We have to grieve for the appointed time, and then we have to move forward. And I say that not to be insensitive to any of our listeners, but to let you know and encourage you and say, whatever the dead situation is, whether it be the loss of a loved one or something dead in your life that may have come about, a job, a relationship, or whatever it is, there is a time to grieve. And then you got to, clean yourself up, dust yourself off, and you got to move forward.
Amen. Let's see what some of our listeners are commenting. Stephanie Higgins says, yes, being at peace. I totally agree. Peace is priceless, y'all. Yeah. Once you get peace of mind, I have said this, and I'm going to be as
transparent as possible.
No. I don't want to be too nasty.
We don't get nasty on this show, sorry.
No. I'm saying that because it's just being honest and real, but there is no piece of meat that will cause me to lose my peace. I'll just say it like that. So
just say no. There is no man
No.
that can make me lose my mind.
I wasn't about to say it like that,
anyway,
there's no piece of meat.
I had to bring.
Thank you.
I love our engineer.
I know. No, I said it how I wanted to say it. There's no
Yeah.
piece of meat that'll cause me to lose my peace of mind, because peace of mind is priceless. Like, once you get it, and especially if you had to work hard to get it back. Like, if you lost it and then you had to go through a series of processes to get it back, it's too hard.
But that's
hard
why
to
we
lose.
have that beautiful song. I don't know why I feel like singing today.
I don't know either, because everything you want to sing, you just singing.
Lord, you kept me in the midst of
Okay, she's sleepy, y'all. So
But
before we came on, she's sleepy. She acts silly.
Harvey said in SEAL training, his instructor told him, you spend your career cold, wet, tired, and miserable. So embrace the pain and make every weakness your strength.
Oh, I like that.
That's deep, Harvey.
He said, make every weakness your strength.
Yeah.
Now, how we do that? Let's talk about, how do you make every weakness your strength?
I believe, again, stay prayerful, stay connected to your source, and you have to evaluate your decisions. You have to evaluate your thoughts. You have to evaluate the words that come out of your mouth, and you have to evaluate your actions.
Say that. Basically, evaluate you.
Yeah, and all the parts of you. And we can't go through life
Total
making
sum.
excuses for who we are because of the past.
And
Because
blaming others.
every day that we wake up, God gives us a new day to try to get it right, to make another choice.
Right.
And so a lot of times, and I've heard a lot of people say this over the years, you know, well, when I was a kid, and I'm going to be honest, not to sound insensitive to anybody, but that irritates me to my soul, because I be like,
When people say what?
when I was a kid, this, that, and the other. And I'd be like, when you were 2 and you're like 60, or when you were like 14. And I'm not negating anything that trauma, because trauma is something that happens to all of us. But the Bible has a quote that says, not a quote, it's a scripture, because there's a difference between a scripture and a quote.
Why you got to put that
Scripture.
that preacher that scripture?
It says, choose ye this day whom you are going to serve.
That's right.
So you choose whether you're going to serve happiness. You choose whether you're going to serve peace. You choose whether you're going to serve being angry. You choose whether you're going to serve
pain.
that memory, because every memory that we have
Serve
is
that memory. I like that.
associated with our emotions are associated with memories and pain and different traumas and different things that we've gone through. But you have a choice. You choose what you want to do. You choose how you react to things. And it's a choice. And God will give you the strength to endure and to get through it if you choose Him.
Something you just said, you said every choice that we make, it's also made up of our emotions.
Yeah, things our memories are connected to our emotions. That's why when people do things, they're emotional, because we have triggers, and the different triggers we have are connected to our memories and our emotions. All of those go hand in hand, and so that's why we have to make sure, especially in the Black community, we've been taught that you okay, go sit down and shut up when you a kid. You okay. Or when you have experienced trauma, your parents never discussed it, whether you were sexually abused or mentally abused or emotionally abused.
Right.
If you weren't sexually abused, emotional abuse is
Still abuse. Sometimes it's worse.
It is kind of worse, because you can't,
because it plays on your mentality.
if I slap you, bam, it's over. But if I constantly tell you every day that you ain't nothing, you're going to be just like your daddy and your uncles in jail. And then when your kid grow up and they end up in prison, you have spoken to existence and put into that child's subconscious mind that they're not going to be anything, and that's what they're going to be. And then when they end up that, you still are tearing them down. So we just got to be really, really, really careful of what we say to our children. We got to build them up and not tear them down.
People, period. But it starts with
when you're a kid,
as a child, in that home, and what you were raised around, and what you were taught, and what was said to you. We are spiritual beings, and so we are made up of our mind, our will, and our emotions.
Emotion.
When we think about salvation. Salvation is the soul of a person. God helps us with that soul part in ourselves, which is those deep innermost parts that is connected to everything within our being. But it goes back to what Cam said. You have to make the choice to face your demons, face your weakness. For example, if you procrastinate, okay, you procrastinate, but you got to say it to yourself and admit it one day. Okay, you know what? I'm not good at this. So, Lord, help me become better in this area. Send me some help or show me or give me some tools and guidance. But the first step is acknowledgement.
Admitting it.
And admitting it. Exactly that, okay, I need help in this area, or I'm not that good, or I'm not a good communicator. Lord, how can I become a better communicator? I'm not a good friend. Lord, I want to be a better friend. How can I do that? And like Cameron said earlier, a lot of times we wear a mask. A lot of people been wearing masks way before COVID, y'all. And I've said that before because
she said you wore a mask before COVID. Are you still wearing the mask?
Okay, she clowning today, y'all. I don't know why she keep doing this. She just want to do this.
I don't know why.
I don't know why she keep doing it.
It's in my spirit.
I love Boog. He be on point, like Johnny on the spot on the ones and the twos. That's our great engineer.
But back to what you were saying, though, it does start in your spirit. And we have to understand, when you said it goes back to a thought, practice makes permanent. So if you are continuously rehearsing in your mind, I'm a procrastinator, I can't do this, or I was hurt, and you keep reliving, you can relive the hurt even though it's in times past over and over and over. Whatever you practice in your thinking, whatever you practice in your doing, all of it is going to manifest itself and become reality.
All right, now. Death and life in the power of the tongue. That's what she just spoke. Now, that's the word. There's death and life in the power of the tongue.
Yes, it is.
So what are you saying out of your mouth? What are you speaking over yourself? What are you speaking over your children? Tonight, we're talking about strengths versus weaknesses. Do you need them both to be successful? I believe you do. That's what we're talking about, because every failure has its place in the process of success. And success, like Cam said, is based on that person's perception. What success is for one person may not be success for the other person. And it all is built around your thoughts and what was said to you, and then what you say to yourself. All right, y'all, call in. We want y'all to talk to us. Join the discussion. 248-854-9850. That's the call-in number. Tell us what you think. Do you think that having strengths versus failures is the same as being successful? Now, something earlier before we came on air, instead of strengths, Cam said victories. A strength can also be seen as a victory as well, but what may be a victory for one person may not be a victory for someone else. God gives us all gifts and talents, right? But the only way you're going to know what those are, like Cam said earlier, you have to stay connected to the source. I read this book, and it was called Your Gifts. And so this book broke down how to understand and learn what the gifts are that God gave you. Some people, they have things that it just comes to them.
It's like, natural.
It's natural
like
talent.
Second nature.
Natural ability. My oldest daughter, I call her my human calculator, because she can calculate numbers like never before. She's always been that way. Me? I'm like, oh, hold on, let me get the calculator. I got to do this. But because that's not my strength. That's an area that I have to work in. But when it comes to administrative work, the computer, writing a letter.
Her behind can do some administrative work, because I have called many a day and said, girl. She'd be like, girl, you could do it. I'd be like, no. And then she'd be like, if you teach a man to fish, he will fish. So therefore, you will do it yourself. Come over here and let me show you the way.
But I think that's important though. Like instead of just doing it for someone, how will they ever learn if you don't show them and you don't teach them, if you just keep doing it for them? And I'm guilty of that with my children sometimes, especially with my youngest. There are a lot of things I just did for her, and I don't know if it was just because she was a baby. I don't know what it was. But just even simple things like calling a business and just having an intelligent conversation because you're trying to get some information and
trying to get a job.
Well, whether it's a job, asking about a bill, asking about a class, you know, and I watched her and I said, okay, that's my fault. Because I would just say, okay, I'll call, you know, and then handle it. And I'm like, okay, Shatia, you got to do this, it's done.
So basically what Jennifer is saying is, even though we love our children, stop coddling them. Because we do everything for them, and then when they get 16, 17, 18, and it's time for them to go out into the real world, they don't have a clue as to how to handle any type of business because you have
done it for them.
You have dumbed them down. If they can get on computers and do everything else that they're doing, they can make a phone call and have an intelligent conversation, especially when they have intelligent parents like you. Yeah.
Okay, she clowning today, y'all.
And I'm gonna say that's the truth, and I'm gonna say this real quick because my mother is a financial genius. Okay, she could manage and do everything, but I'm like, one day we were talking, I'm like, you didn't teach me that part. I had to figure that out, and I had a little attitude about that because I'm like, do you know how much further along in life I would be? Now, don't get me wrong, I've always been pretty good with my money, but she could have showed me the trick. Because she'd be like, nah, because what you do. But she never really said. She said, okay, you save this amount of money, blah, blah, blah. But I would have just been further along if she would have. Because one day she was doing something. She said, girl, I taught you this. I'm like, no, you didn't. You told me things to do, but you did not show me. Telling and showing are two different things. So parents, show your children. Teach your children.
Don't
love
just tell
your children.
Yeah. Now let's take that telling and showing into other relationships, because you can do that same concept. Book like, okay, now
our engineer like, we're like,
you can take that same concept as telling and showing are two different things.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's take a simple task as just loading the dishwasher, right? You know, it has to be done a certain way. If you don't load the dishwasher a certain way, the dishes will still be dirty. And then you're wasting water and, you know, dish detergent, you know. So for me, and I've done this before, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just do it. But then I had to say, okay, let me show you. But on the other side of that, the other person got to be patient enough to want to be shown, because the other person may not want to be patient enough. Oh, well, that's all right. And they'll say, well, I don't want to learn it. I don't want to learn nothing new. I'm just going to do it this way because this is the way that I've always done it. So then what happens on that end then?
Well, you gotta be that. I'm gonna say that you gotta.
Both ways.
It's a thin line when you say that, because my mom I'm grown as hell, so we all know I know how to wash a dish. I'm just saying, by hand, you know. And one day I was washing dishes, and my mother said, "You don't do that like that." I mean, she just went in. I mean, I'm like, Mother, stop it. Go sit down, please.
She didn't say it like that, y'all.
I did say it like that because my mother got that strong backhand. And, you know, I'm grown, but she still will pop you.
Go sit down, please.
But I was like, Mom, but that's what I said out of my mouth. But on the inside, I was like, if you don't leave me alone while I'm washing these dishes, because I know what I'm... So she just kept on. Mm-hmm. And so I think for her, it has to be her way all the time. So that's why I say it's a thin line, because to me, I don't care how load it however you want to, just as long as the dishes get clean. Now, if I look at the dishes after you loaded it and they're messed up, I would say, child, my son's name is Max, I would say, Max, or whomever, and say, could you please look at this? And he'll be like, what? I'll be like, you see how these dishes didn't get clean? He'll be like, yeah. I'll be like, well, next time, because that's how I start talking. Yeah. I'll be like, well, next time I need for you, I'm gonna show you how to do it. And he will be like, okay. And that's it. But I just think you gotta choose your battles.
I agree.
You gotta choose
your battles. But I think that both parties got to be open and willing.
Yeah.
To the
you gotta
process,
show,
because if both parties are not open and willing to the process, then it's not going to work. It's not going to happen.
So how does that go into the whole show and tell? It's the game I play when I want to say I love you. Whoa, whoa. I don't know why songs keep popping in my head, but
show and tell when I want to say I love you.
Yes, you got no, but I get what you're saying.
But you know what that song was about. That was not about what we talking about. That was about show and tell your stuff.
The Spirit of the Lord is here.
She all over the place today, y'all.
Oh, but and I don't smoke or drink, so you know this is really crazy. But
she's sleepy, y'all. When she's sleepy,
I know what you're saying, but I just think we just, you know, show them. We just all. I think what it really boils down to, we all have to be open to listen
and receive.
And sometimes we can just shut down. Because I know for me, you know, I have to catch myself sometimes. Because sometimes when people, I'm gonna be honest. When I don't,
oh, you want to be honest? Before?
Yeah, I gotta be real. If I value what you know, my relationship with you, then I say stuff different. True. But if you getting on my nerves and I'm irritated with you, I'll be like, you be talking to me, I'll be like, yeah, okay. But anyway, and I have to catch myself because I can be dismissive and I didn't know that I could till I got checked one day.
Yep, she sure can.
I got checked one day and they were like, you know, why are you talking like that? And I was like, boo. You know, so
she did not do all that, y'all.
No, yes, I did, honey. Sometimes you gotta put a little sugar when you done threw out that salt. So you got to know how to bring it back in. But no, I just think that but you know, we live in life. You're irritated because of work, all the things that go on, work, driving in your car. It's a lot that we have to deal with. So I think sometimes we don't always just say stuff the right way, but we work on it because we're human.
Some people work on it. Everybody don't work on it. Some people say, oh, well, that's just the way I am. And I think that's an excuse. I feel like when you make that statement, that's just the way I am, you're telling me that you don't have no room for growth. You don't even want to try to change.
Well, that sounds like something that my mother would say, because she'd be like, this is just me. And I'd be like, that's no excuse. But just because you're mature doesn't mean you can say whatever you want to say and do whatever you want to do. But a long time ago, someone gave me a colloquialism for an excuse. And it stuck with me all my life.
And what was that? An
excuse ain't nothing but a lie told for the truth, but called a reason.
Repeat that.
An excuse isn't anything but a lie told for the truth and called a reason. So basically,
now, did y'all get that?
You made it up. You're doing things because that's what you want to do, and you don't want to change your mind, and you don't want to be agreeable, and that's it.
So basically, when you're giving excuses, you lying on yourself. You telling on yourself with a lie. So exactly. So the moral to that is don't give excuses. We're talking about strength versus failures. Do you need them both to be successful? And we're talking about success is in the perception of that person. What's successful to one person may not be successful to someone else. Yeah. Caller. We want you guys to call in.
Max Doggett, call in.
854-9850. Join the discussion. Tell us what your thoughts are. Do you think you need strengths and failures to be successful in this life called journey? And what are your thoughts as far as the perception of it?
Come on in, Max. 248-854-9850. I would love to hear from Max Doggett. He is not only one of my friends, he is a business owner. So Max, if you're not doing anything, why don't you call in at 248-854-9850 and tell us about your successes and failures, and do you need both of them to
be successful?
Love to hear from you.
Somebody calling in.
Okay, is that Max? Come on, Max.
Good evening. Welcome to the Fabric of Life. You're on with Jennie B and Karen K. Caller, what's your name?
Yeah, this is Max Doggett.
Hey, good evening, Max. Hey, Max. Cam just asked you to call in. So tell us what your thoughts are. We're talking about strengths versus failures. Do you think you need them both to be successful?
Strength versus failure?
Strength versus failures.
And do you think you need both of them to be successful?
Strength for failures? trying to hone in on what you're saying. Strength for your failures.
Strengths and failures.
Do you
Do you need them both to be
It's all,
successful?
it's all according to what you say to yourself is a failure. Is a fail.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, if you try something and it didn't work out, you can't say that you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
If you never tried, then you're a failure.
Exactly.
That's good. Did y'all hear that? If you never try, that's when you're a failure, not when you do try. Could you give us some examples about that?
Examples, just say someone that wanted to go to college or whatnot, but they didn't complete college. They can't say that they ever failed,
Mm-hmm.
but someone that never has tried to accomplish an intellectual resource in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what they say. It's a saying. Everybody is given the same 24 hours, all according to what you do with yours.
I totally
All
agree.
right.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I like that, Max. I always say time is the one commodity that's most expensive because you can't get it back. Once it's spent, it's gone.
And Max is a business owner. So he is a business owner. He has a meat company called Safari Meats, and he has a brand called Kickin' Chicken. And honey, that chicken is kicking. Okay, that's all I got to say. But could you give us a little insight as far as just not everything that you have gone through, but just give us some insight as far as, what, like maybe times you felt like giving up, but then you didn't give up and you persevered, and now you have your product in Myers in the Detroit metropolitan area. Could you give us some insight on that?
Well, just like it was just yesterday, I felt like quitting,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and it wasn't based upon failure. It was just based upon trying. But then, I still have other opportunities that I'm going after, and I just have to keep my skin in the. But the Myers piece just came from being prepared for the opportunity when it presented itself, and seeing someone that was there that I felt that I can hold a conversation with. He looked like an executive. He was an executive walking around, walking inside of the store, and I approached him and developed a relationship. But COVID slowed a lot of things down.
Mm-hmm.
COVID slowed a lot of things down, and it's still challenges. It's still things that I go through that I just have to work through. Just keep my head up high because, of course, my desires want it to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is, it don't happen when you want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It happens when it's supposed to happen, right?
But the thing about it is, it's still being optimistic. That's the biggest, component to anything with my business is being optimistic.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this question, Max, because thank you for being transparent, open, and honest, which, as Pastor Michael Todd would say, hot, open, and transparent, humble, open, and transparent. So you said this was just yesterday. So what did you tell yourself? What were some things that you were saying to yourself yesterday to kind of pull your thoughts in? Because we may have someone listening right now that may be in that same place where you were yesterday, and they may just want to quit. They may just want to give up. Mm-hmm. So what were some of the things you told yourself to even get up and go the next day?
You know what Richard Pryor said the solution to a black man problems is?
What's the solution?
Fuck it.
Okay. All right.
I mean, because, I receive my challenges. I receive jealousy. Even someone took the opportunity to say something on me in social media. And all I could do was laugh at it. I couldn't even respond to it because individual couldn't even spell. So it's
wow.
like, how do I look like engage in a conversation with someone that's this platform as your
can't hear her on the phone
versus coming to see me man to man about any problems that you feel that you may have with me.
Right.
You know, but like I said, if you can't spell, you can't come to me as a man,
right,
then we don't really have any conversation ever.
Right.
to me everything doesn't even need a response, like you said.
When you're vibrating on a higher frequency, you don't change your frequency for anyone.
You're right. You have to be on the frequency. Can't nobody change but you.
Exactly.
Positive and, you know, just staying positive and optimistic. With me, I have to stay optimistic.
Mm-hmm. So if you are listening, the tips that he gave: stay positive, stay optimistic. When you're having those moments of defeat, moments of quitting, and I'm gonna add to that, like, be careful of the company you keep around you, you know, and who you have in your ear and who you have like connected to you in your personal space, because that plays a part to me as a space of continuing to be optimistic and a space of to continue to be positive, because life is going to happen, right?
Right.
It's inevitable.
And also remember, everybody's burdens aren't your burdens to bear. And sometimes just make sure that you keep your space clear, that you, take care of the people that are your friends and things like that. But sometimes get some rest. Step back from situations and circumstances and think things through. Because a lot of times people don't think things through, and that's when they make bad choices. So I really do respect the fact that you came on, Max, and said, I have those days.
Right.
Because you're probably one of the strongest people I know, but I also know that you have faith in a higher power and you stay plugged into your source. And that's also one of the things that, that's a superpower.
Yeah, I fall short on that also. I wish I could, be better. And, but hey, like I said, no one's perfect. We all want to do it.
Exactly.
I know I'm not.
Small success is still success. We all fall short in the glory of God. So there's no space and place that anybody has the right to judge anybody about anything, especially when it comes to the relationship that you have with God.
And in life, period. Because you, like I said, you are a sum of your choices. And I just want to say, I'm really proud of you, Black man.
Hey, but I'm going in 9 more miles on the east side of Detroit next week.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Yes.
That's Safari Meats, everybody.
Safari
chicken.
Meats. All right. Well, thank you for calling in. We're getting ready to wrap it up. And we appreciate your wisdom and your tips of nuggets that you gave on what to do when you feel like you want to give up and you want to quit. And we're talking about strength versus failures. Do you need them both to be successful? All right, y'all. We're getting ready to wind down and wrap it up. And we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in on tonight with your host, Miss Jennie B. and Miss Cam K.
Hey.
Tune in next time, same place on Podcastic, 7 p.m. with The Fabric of Life. Thank y'all. God bless and good night.
Good night.
Since this morning, I've been yawning. Situations got me falling down. What should I do? The day's full of questions. There's no answers or suggestions. So, who do I turn to? You can call on Jennie B. You can say just what you mean. It's so nice. It's so nice. You can call on Jennie B. You can talk about anything in this life. The fabric of life. You can call on Jennie B. You can say just what you mean. It's so nice. It's so nice. You can call on Jennie B. You can talk about anything in this life. The fabric of life. What's the latest on the caucus? Who's running for top office and why? Tell me why. Raising taxes on the masses. Who is doing it the fastest? Who lied? Tell me who lied? There's so much on my mind, it just makes me want to vent sometimes. It's so much going on. I just hope you hear this song and you do what's right. It's just not about black and white, no, but it's about the human rights. Yes, it is. It's just not about you and me. Can it be? But it's about who we can call. Let's call Jennie B. Call on Jennie B. You can say just what you mean. It's so nice. Yeah. It's so nice. Yeah. You can call on Jennie B. You can talk about anything in this life. The fabric of life. You can call on Jennie B. I'ma call you. Can say just what you mean. It's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice. Yeah. Here I go. Call Jennie B. Here I go. Jennie B. It's this life. It's the fabric of life. The fabric of life. The fabric of life.
What do you want from me? I'm trying it your way.
When I was a little girl, I fell in love with the movie Cinderella. From the moment I watched it, I always knew that I would one day meet my prince and become the princess bride. All I've ever wanted to be was a wife. My dear future husband.
I tried to do it your way. Oh, but you're supposed to be that guy that can just do anything. And Steph can be a husband. Why can't I have a husband? Baby, wait, please, don't go.